I'm Brandon.
And I'm Brandon.
And welcome back to Apollo City Comics, the unscripted comic book commentary show. I'm nailing that every single time now. I'm so hyped. Today, we have a very special guest. No commentary today, guys. Instead, we have Charlie Ragnarok, the writer and illustrator for lesser-known comics. And hello, Charlie. Great to have you on.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. That's the part where Frank inserts like the WWE crowd cheering right there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Shout out to Frank, our audio guy, for making us sound awesome. And check out his channel, Uninformed Movie Reviews, too. We'll do that plug right now. But Charlie, welcome to the show. Lesser known comics. We came across their page. We spoke a little bit, and we got you on the show. You just had an anthology basically come out. Tell us a little bit about your work, what you do.
Okay. Yeah. So I kind of started out just making my own work, and then Mark contacted me. Mark is our founder and a writer for the company. Reached out to me over Instagram, and we've just been working together ever since. They just opened up, Lesser Known Comics did. I think it was November of last year. So
okay, cool.
They've kind of been making connections since then. And so my first comic with them is part of their batch 2 release. So they don't have a whole lot out yet, but it's exciting. There's a lot of stuff like in progress.
Do you know where they're located? Are they out there on the East Coast, same place as you, or?
Yeah, they're based out of Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you guys all communicated remotely.
Yeah, everything's done remotely. There's no really like home office or anything, but it's nice actually because it gives us the chance to work with people all over the country and around the world. We have our guy Franco from Argentina, and oh my gosh, we have I'm trying to remember everybody. We have people in Italy, we have people in Spain. So
it's a growing company.
It's growing. Yeah.
You guys just wrapped your second Kickstarter too, and that's where people could grab your anthology. I know it's on their website as well. Tell us about the story. Oh, what was that?
I was gonna say we'll probably put a link to.
We'll link everything.
Redirecting to all this stuff in the description.
And you have what? Is it 8-9 page short story in there that you illustrated?
Yeah, it's a 9-page short story. That was written by Mark, but I illustrated. The next one I'm working on, which is also a mini comic, I'm writing and illustrating. So it's going to be kind of crazy.
Quite the commitment.
Crazy more like the plot is just batty and funny. So yeah, it's like not as serious, I think, as my batch 2 comic. So
okay, cool. Yeah. What's I noticed the colors you use and whatnot, a lot of purples, a lot of pinks. What's the kind of style and genre that you're always aiming for whenever you start creating something? So
I work in a lot of styles. I kind of think it just depends on the mood of your project. Like I sometimes I draw in a more sketchy style, sometimes it's a more clean and almost someone called it like DC looking. So yeah, it really just depends on the project. For a lot of my personal work, I tend to do a lot of kind of serious, vampy things, but I also really enjoy working in looser styles, like a sketch style, which is a little more like what I did for lesser known comics and what I'm kind of continuing to do. Okay. I also do kind of a zine style, which is really cartoony and goofy and crazy. And yeah, so I actually have something in that style coming out soon too.
Oh, cool. Nice. So you're just busy all across.
I'm just all over the place. Yeah,
you gotta stay busy.
I never stop working. It's bad.
Well,
I guess it's good though for my career.
Now that you're talking about like styles, how you've done, attempted different ones or work in different ones. If you don't mind me rewinding time a little, when did you, I guess, not necessarily start drawing, but when did you realize when you were drawing, you're like, you know what, I want to draw comic books? You know what I mean?
Definitely in childhood. It's actually funny you ask that. I just had to clean out just a bunch of old storage stuff at my parents' house. And I found like just comics on comics on comics that I had drawn from like middle school through high school. So I always really enjoyed doing that, just like throughout my childhood and teenage years. And then when I got to college, I really wanted to be a commercial illustrator. I just wasn't sure if doing comic books was going to be like a viable career for me, but obviously now it's kind of looking that way. So let's hope it continues.
That's how it feels in the beginning, right? It's one of those things like Brandon and I, we're trying to be comic book writers.
Yeah.
And people ask like, you know, I'm pretty sure people ask you the same thing, you know, is this a sustainable career? Is this something that could literally buy a house or pay your bills? And you know, it's one of those things that like once you start getting in the motion of things and you actually start pumping pages out and actually making money off of it, that's when you're like, oh, this seems a little bit more, you know, believable.
Yeah, it becomes real. It's like not a dream anymore. But yeah, so that's really exciting. Yeah, my teenage self will be proud. So
do you look at the stuff and you go, oh man, that's great, or more like, oh man, I can't believe I do that?
It's definitely a mixed bag. Like the drawings aren't bad. I'm like, okay, she was onto something, but some of it's really cringe and like cliche, of course, but some of it I'm like, dang, how did I forget about this? Like this is like pretty all right. So awesome. I don't know. It's just a mixed bag.
What were some of your earliest influences that got you into just wanting to dive into comic books?
Ooh, okay. So I'm actually really into anime. Don't laugh.
No
anime and manga. So yeah, one of my greatest inspirations is Atsushi Okubo, who is the author and writer of Soul Eater. I love Soul Eater. Everyone who knows me knows I never shut up about it. It's just really like well written. It has this really like awesome, well built universe, and I just really admired that. And I was like, man, like I want to be that guy. Like I want to be writing, you know, this whole universe and like this great story. And I also really love the work of Jamie Hewlett.
Oh, cool. Definitely.
Right. I was a big Gorillas nerd in middle school. I say that like I'm not still a huge Gorillas nerd. But yeah, Jamie Hewlett definitely like, I just love how he just stylizes things.
Definitely.
Like he clearly has a really good understanding of form and proportion. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to make this my own thing now. And I don't know. I just really like the way he works. So yeah.
Brandon and I just got into all that recently. We did a Tank Girl movie commentary and we started.
Oh my God, that movie's so good. It's so underrated.
It's so great.
It's so 90s, first of all.
Yeah. We talk about the Bjork Army of Me playing in the like dance hall or whatever. Like I lost my mind. I was like, this is
I totally forgot about that scene.
No, oh my God, that's like I love it. I love that song so much. So
it was I forget why we watched it. I think we were like, let's do a dystopian future like
month
theme of the month. Yeah. And that was like the first movie that came to mind.
And we just ended up doing a bunch of research on him. And oh man, his artwork is just so it's like so indie in a good way. You know what I mean? Like it's
and it still holds up. You know, there's definitely I think it was the 80s it came out.
The original I want to say late 80s, and then the movie was like early 90s.
Yeah, so you know, as most people know, like artwork tends to fluctuate. Sometimes it holds up really well, sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, it really does speak volume.
And what about now? How has that changed and evolved? Like, who are your main influences at this point?
Oh man, I just follow so many people on Instagram and and Twitter. I don't know. I will say right now, in the last like year, I've been trying to learn more about digital painting and coloring and getting better at like coloring comics. Cause I've always been really comfortable with black and white and like, you know, inking, but yeah. So learning how to color, I was looking at a lot of videos by, Mark Brunet, who is like a concept artist.
Okay. Cool.
Also, I hope I'm saying his name right. Trent Caniuga. He's also a concept artist and he does a lot of paint and stuff. And there's also Color with Kurt, love that guy. He specifically colors comics. And he's just really talented and has really great tutorials. So
Cool.
yeah, I've been watching a lot of all of their videos. So I guess that
Nice.
it's not really like necessarily comics, but
Well, that's great. You're well versed in that sense, and you're trying to reach out.
It doesn't always have to be comics too. Like people can be influenced from all sorts of mediums. Like realistically, comics are just like a culmination of different mediums told in a certain format. So when it came to, you got into it, you started drawing at a young age and you're like, okay, I want to make comics. I tend to ask this a lot because typically this is the genre everybody always references when talking about comic books. When it came to like the superhero genre, Marvel and DC and all that, was it one of those situations where you're like, I don't want to do that, I'm going to stay away from that and do my own thing and go independent? Or is it kind of more of a, I see this superhero, I kind of want to have my take on it, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Like, did you know you were going to be indie or like mainstream?
Yeah. Or did you go, I'm going to draw Batman one day?
I don't think I've ever really felt that way. I think for me, I don't know, by the end of college, I guess I was like, I think I tend to work in a more indie like style, or I don't know, I guess. But I also think I'm just very flexible. Like, again, I draw in a lot of different styles. And I think that going to school to be a commercial illustrator, I'm not like, I want to write my own stories and illustrate my own stories the way I want to do them. But I'm also very much able to work under someone else and kind of create their vision. So I can do either, like, if someone was like, do you want to draw a Batman? I'd be like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not like, no, like indie forever, but it's just, it's kind of just whatever opportunity, I guess. Like,
oh yeah, totally understandable. It's situational.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that
I think it's very
like
situational. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. If anything, it allows you to get more practice in all sorts of ways. You might be able to work on something you never knew you'd want to draw.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. And yeah, I'm just always trying to like learn new things and draw different things. And I don't know, I don't necessarily want to be like super trapped in one like method of working.
That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, as a comic book artist, that's great that you already have that mindset of flexibility and knowing which way to do stuff, but also knowing that you want to create your own universes and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any like anything planned that you're trying to kind of make a larger series, either mini, maxi, or just like a comic strip in general, like any large form plans?
Well, there's my personal project that I post to my Instagram, and then there's also a couple of things for lesser known comics. The mini that I did is meant to be kind of part of like an ongoing series, so that will kind of develop its own universe, and me and Mark both kind of contribute and write to that. Yeah. And then for me, personal project that I actually started in high school when I was drawing all those comics is I call it Scorned, is like the working title.
Nice.
And yeah, I post kind of just, I don't know, teaser pages on my Instagram for that. I've been working on writing that, and I guess the holdup is like, I keep being like, oh, I don't think it's ready, or, oh, I don't know if I want to do it like a digital comic, or like I'm, like a webtoon or something, or do I want it to be in print? And then now I'm working for Lesser Known Comics, and I'm like, is that something I'd want to do through them? Like, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, it's like my baby that I've been working on forever and like thinking about forever. So I'm like, I don't know. Eventually, I would like to see that, come to fruition. But yeah, that's definitely a universe I've been working on for a long time.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool that you have that. I mean, it's just really exciting to hear you talk about how much you're diving into your own world and your own work and whatnot. It's, for lesser known, I know just with that short story that you had, it was definitely like a cliffhanger ending. But it was definitely like an interesting thing. Can you tell us more about the story? Yeah.
So, so Danny is our main character, the female character, and she is a witch that has lived for a very long time. And So her sidekick at the beginning of my comic, they kind of have like a weird friendship breakup thing.
Mhm.
And she's like, I'm going to forget about that. And I'm going to get me some man in Florida who, if you didn't see the cover, which I'm sure you did, he ends up being a vampire.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's what that's about. And we are supposed to see more of this mysterious vampire man.
Nice. And oh my bad, I thought Brandon was about to say something.
No,
That's
I was
cool.
waiting, so I don't want to interrupt.
That's super cool. Are you going to be continuing the artwork for this one here on out, or is it going to be something where people alternate on it, or is this kind of like you're attached to the story and this is where you're fueled for at this point?
Yeah, so right now, I'm doing like multiple projects at once, and it's also kind of weird because like, so I almost think of Danny's story as like, you know, in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where a lot of them aren't like linear plot. Like you could kind of watch them out of order and they still make sense.
Mhm.
A lot of that project and a lot of like the mini projects are like that. It's kind of like,
Okay.
so some of them do happen in order, but you could still probably like,
Yeah,
you know.
it's easier to digest as you go. You don't have to read it in like a sequential order. Everything can kind of be okay.
And so for me, the story with the vampire guy, I'm going to be illustrating that, but there's other little like rabbit holes that, you know,
cool.
other artists are going to be kind of like
Nice.
illustrating. So it's like yes and no. I'm illustrating it and other people are illustrating it, but it's not the same plot line. So yeah, it'll make sense as time goes on, I'm sure.
That's how comics work too. Comics are like this weird thing when it comes to artwork and words that like everybody kind of contributes and everybody works on the same projects, and it's so open-ended. You could have one person literally do everything, and at the same time you could have 5 to 8 people on one book. You know?
Yeah. Mhm.
So I wanted to ask, we're going a little all over the place with the questions, so sorry.
No, it's okay.
You know, you bring up how you're doing like writing and drawing and you're doing your own coloring, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm guessing you're doing
all.
a lot of, you're doing it all. I'm guessing that includes inks as well, like the final inking process.
Yeah. I mean, I lay it out, I ink it, I color it. The only thing is we do have a separate letterer. Like I can letter, it's not my favorite.
It's just
thing, so.
more work.
Yeah, exactly. So but I do everything but the letters.
So I kind of have like a multi-part question here then.
Okay.
First off and foremost, when it comes to creating your own book on your own, I'm just kind of curious how your process is. If you're writing and drawing, do you kind of just draw and then do the script? Maybe do the script beforehand and then draw, maybe a hybrid version, and then kind of how your process is when you're working with a writer or another artist. Yeah.
Okay. So for my next mini, which relates to Danny's story, but she's not like directly in it. It's kind of funny how I write and draw at like the same time. So I kind of get like an image and then I'm like, okay, how am I leading this image and what, I guess like what panels need to be in sequence for this to make sense. And like the text kind of follows the overarching images, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then when I'm working with Mark, he'll give a script, and that's going to be kind of, I don't want to say bare bones, but kind of like, it's like, okay, here's a one sentence for the scene, and then here's your dialogue, like very like simple. So that leaves a lot of room for me to fill that in with an image.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm kind of in the headspace of like, I want to plan the page, like. Where is the wow? Where is the this and that? And then I will make the text kind of follow that. But yeah, but it's just different, I guess. When you're good at communicating visually, you often want to lead with that. So, but yeah, I mean, I can work either way though. It doesn't really bother me.
So do you feel like the paneling is something you plan for before drawing anything or afterwards, you'd say?
If I'm left to my own devices, it's before / simultaneously.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Whereas when I get a script, it's kind of paneled out for me, and only if I draw it and it just looks whack and I'm like, I have to change this, do I change it?
Okay. Well, if it's already drawn, you can kind of manipulate the panels, at least depending on what format you're working in, or whether it be digital or on paper.
Does Danny break down the panels for you, or is it just kind of like an open-ended, kind of just beat by beat, and you figure it out where you feel the placements should be?
Yeah. When Mark is writing, he does leave, like, he'll do like page 1, panel 1, and then, go from there. Which that does help if I'm kind of lost. But yeah, usually. And another thing with me is I like to incorporate 2-page spreads. So then I'm like, okay, I have this like big image, and then I plan like, okay, other panels on top of that big image. And then, cool. I don't necessarily write that before drawing it, because then, I don't know, your 2-pager might not look as good, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. No, totally. For sure. That's great. And do you try to like experiment as much as you can with panel placement, panel designs, or do you try to write a standard grid?
Yeah, I'm all over the place. I just think it really depends on, again, storytelling, like what is going to communicate the best. If it really needs like linear paneling, yeah, okay. Or if that's like what your client wants, yeah, okay, great. Me, I'm kind of more like, is this getting the feeling, the mood across? Is this, sometimes I don't use panels at all, and there's kind of a lot of overlapping images, and I'm just like, hope they get it. I don't know. It's just, again, it's. Yeah.
I mean, that's the cool thing about comics, that open interpretation of like follow and whatnot. And especially as an artist, you get so much more, I feel like, freedom for what you can put on the page and how you can direct eyes and the movement and the pacing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
As long as you don't have like a publisher breathing down your neck, you can pretty much do what you want.
Right.
You're allowed that freedom, which almost like when you have too much freedom, you're like, oh God, where do I go next?
Yeah, that can happen. But I just try to put something on the page. If art school taught me anything, it's just draw with conviction, just throw it on the page, just do something. If it's bad, throw it away, start again. Some people are really like terrified to just start drawing, and I'm like, you just can't be like that.
You just got to do it.
Yeah,
just got to go for it.
You got to have momentum.
What art school did you go to?
I went to Towson University, and I did their illustration program.
Oh, cool.
So that's like North Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah, that whole East Coast area is just so
I'm like,
for me. Like he lives in California, I live in Texas, and so
you're like, I don't know what's going on over there.
I've been to the East Coast once in my life, and it was for 9 days, and that is my entire interpretation of it so far.
Right.
And so.
Yeah, I've hit New York, and it's like seasons. You guys have seasons over there? Which
right.
We get 2
No,
here.
that's like, you guys don't get snow for Christmas, and I'm like,
no,
I mean, like, we don't always, like, I'm technically in the South, and like, but we get snow in January. Like, it's cold at Christmas time. I'm I can't imagine drinking a hot chocolate in 90-degree weather. Like, this is not very festive.
If you think that's bizarre, just imagine San Francisco as 60 degrees all year long with the occasional hot days and occasional rain. And then that's about it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just everybody thinks it's like palm trees and beaches out in California, but
no, I mean, it's like a whole coast. Like it's like a very large territory. Yeah.
Yeah, but people typically think like SoCal when they imagine California, but like everywhere else in like the Bay Area, it gets pretty frosty pretty much all year long with the, like I said, occasional change in weather.
I wish I knew what that felt like. I'm just in desert.
Like just stuck with the desert.
It was 97 degrees today. It's not
97. I walked outside and it's here. I could check right now. It's 54 degrees right now.
Dang, it might be warmer here in Maryland. Let me look.
Dang,
I didn't realize. Time. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. No, it's like 80 degrees where I am. So.
Oh, see, it's nice.
But it's also like summer now. So.
Oh, dang. Okay. I wish.
What is that?
That's like spring weather for me.
Yikes.
So
yeah, I don't really do like extreme weather in any direction.
Yeah, no, it's I stay inside on the heat. Can't do that.
Yeah.
But
with COVID and everything, conventions were thrown off and everything. Do you guys have plans to start hitting up conventions at some point in the next, couple months, or now that things are opening up again? Or
yeah, I don't know about next couple months, but we definitely are looking at conventions. Like, we definitely want to be there, like get a booth and
oh hell yeah,
be out there.
That's you don't want to hit up Comic-Con that Thanksgiving weekend?
Oh, I don't know. I'm really like not in charge of any of that, but yeah, like I'll be on social media, of course, if we're gonna be there.
Have you ever set up an art booth yourself at a convention or displayed any of that before?
I actually have not. I've wanted to, like, every year. Again, I'm an anime nerd. I go to Otakon and then I'm like, cool. I want a booth here.
So you've never done like a zine fest or anything either?
No, I haven't. There is like a small press expo, I think is actually what it's called, in Baltimore. I think it's yearly, and I've wanted to go, but I don't know. I work a lot, so I've just never been able.
Yeah, that's the struggle. You still got to pay bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
That day job. Yeah.
Yeah, the day job. Rest in peace.
How do you, now that you bring that up, how do you manage your time? So, assuming you're working easily 35, 40 hours a week or however many hours you work, how do you go about your process of like planning your week out for scheduling time to, stay however social you want to be or have some some free time?
That's funny. Yeah.
And then working on comics.
So I was learning from, again, people on the internet. I'm like, okay, what are successful people doing? And they're like, you have to draw every single day. And I was like, every single day? And they're like, every single day. And so I was like, okay, I got to find time to do that. So I told my day job, I was like, hey, I can only work evenings now. So I work in like the afternoon, like night, and I go to bed and I wake up early, and the morning time I eat breakfast and then I just start drawing until lunch, and it's like, that's like a good 4 hours every single day. Some people say you only need 1 hour, and I'm like a crazy lady that just draws all the time. So, but yeah, so I try to draw every single day. And honestly, you just chip away at it and it gets done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, totally.
Nice. That's awesome. That commitment right there. And honestly, it's true. You have to work on your craft as much as possible if you're trying to get professional at this point, especially with competition and everything out there. You got to stand out from that crowd.
Well, not just that, just like, drawing comics or drawing in general is just like a bigger commitment.
Mm-hmm.
I come home at night and then I'll try writing like a script, and hour and a half later I do about 3 pages. I'm like, all right, gonna edit that later and move on with my life.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a really productive like couple of hours every single day, like even if it's just 1 or 2, so because I have days where I just can't focus, or like something comes up in my personal life and I'm like, oh, like I gotta go do that, or like probably should clean my house once in a while. So when those things happen, I'm like, okay, like I can still get a lot done in not that much time. It's just I just have to be consistent about it, like every day, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Because consistency is key, honestly. Yeah. When it comes to this, I guess, I don't know how you want to call it, this whole world of comics, consistency and networking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely being social. I think that was another thing that in the last year I was like, all right, I got to learn how to digitally paint, and I got to learn how to like get my social media together. I was like, I'm not popular online and I'm sick of crying about it. Let's get that together. So yeah, you definitely have to be social. That's really important.
So were you not using like social media a whole lot before you're drawing, basically?
I was just using it wrong. I would show people my work and they were like, oh my God, like, how do you not have more followers? And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So I did a lot of research and I realized I kind of had to curate my content more. That was like the first thing, because I find when you go to an account and there's like this mixed bag of stuff, and like, you know, they post really irregularly, you know, they can be a really talented artist, but it's like, you know, I'm not going to subscribe to your content if I don't know what I'm getting.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So I was like, okay, we got to curate this page. We got to make sure that we're putting out predictable, like consistent content. So that was like step number one. And the other step was interacting with other accounts. I didn't realize how much engagement like mattered, and just interacting with other people like on the platform actually affected your account and like who sees your stuff. So once I started doing that, like, I mean, it definitely, I stopped stagnating and I started going like up slowly. So I'm definitely not like famous or anything, but yeah, definitely it's just been going up. So that's good.
Oh, definitely. And it's, social media is just, it's a pain no matter what.
It's rough.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
It's really rough. I did not give a crap about networking on Instagram or Twitter at all. And then Brandon's like, all right, you got to start interacting with accounts on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, you really do.
Because I didn't want to.
Shit. I know, he puts the burden on me and I'm like, I'll try. And it's a process. It's like, you got to really like look up, like there's actual books on this stuff. You know?
No. And like, there's so much research on social media analytics and stuff. And like, when should I post? That was another thing. I would post at like different times and just have, and different days and just have really different results. And I was just like very frustrated. And it also didn't help that during the election, which I didn't realize this, Instagram took away the recent tab. Yeah. So me being a small account, people just were not finding my page, and I was so frustrated. And then finally, I like found that out, and I was like, okay, so I'm not crazy. Like I was like putting out better content than ever, and I got less likes. So I was like, okay, so that one was not my fault. But yeah, I felt so relieved. And then they brought the recent tab back, and I'm like, okay, like now it's coming together. We're good.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you just gotta chip, like you were saying, just chip away at it. I mean, before you know it, you're gonna start growing even more. I mean, you found the Apollo account, so
yes,
you know.
Hello.
It goes to show hard work pays off on both sides too. It's a two-way street, and that was the thing I was actually going to talk about. Was you know, Brandon in Texas was the one you were communicating with. I had no idea until he told me, basically a couple weeks ago. So I was like, oh, cool. But when it comes to like networking and working with other people or finding other people to work with, what is like your process of like finding these people that, you know, you can click with, or does someone reach out to you and they have a project in mind? Because like there's a few platforms people go through, and I'm just curious like how you go about working with people and finding them really.
Yeah. So right now, Lesser Known Comics is pretty much the only like group that like professional group that I've worked with. For a while, I honestly was just like, I might have to just do this by myself. There's artists running their entire career through, you know, Patreon and doing Reddit. All that like by themselves. So I, during like the worst of the pandemic, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this myself. So, you know, I guess I kind of had to be reached out to personally, but I will say just obvious rules, artists, if you are getting asked to make work for no money, don't do it. I would never do work for like just exposure. So I think the fact that Lesser Known Comics really cares about like treating artists like actual employees and people, I was like, okay, yeah, like I can vibe with that. But yeah, I mean, if anyone just gives you sus vibes, there are other fish in the sea. I don't know. I don't have like a ton of experience in finding professional gigs, but yeah, like I said, if they want you to do something for free, no.
I imagine that's happened. You just got like,
oh yeah, people are like, oh, do you do free drawings? I'm like, no, like
it's
I have a degree
energy
in this.
Yeah,
like, no, I'm a professional.
This is one question I do like to ask artists. You said you haven't done any sort of like cons yet, right?
Not yet,
like
no.
Okay. Have you ever had any like strange requests? I'm always curious because people can have like some weird horror stories about that stuff. Like it can be anything from like properties that already exist just in weird scenarios, or people asking for like OCs, and you know what I mean? Like, have you ever like
it's funny. I really haven't had like a lot of crazy interactions. Maybe just people expecting the prices to be really low, and I have to tell them no. Or I don't know, people have recommended a lot of things where I'm like, yeah, that's copyright infringement. Like, I can't put that in an online store, so I'm not going to be working on that. But no, I just, most of my weird interactions are just like me being a chick. Like, it has nothing to do with me being an artist. So yeah, but I'm sure they'll come in. Like, I'll let you know.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those.
That'll happen.
Yeah, like there's been so many times because I know a few artists. Some of my friends are, and they like. We have a friend that's been on the show before, and he had a booth like in the Bay Area for some con, and then this guy came up and like berated him about drawing something specifically, and he's just like, "No, I'm not doing that." And just the requests you get, I'm just always curious because like it's always different. You never know who you're gonna meet. You come across so many people and accounts, and it just gets it becomes like the Wild West out there. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I've gotten like unsolicited advice, like, "Oh, you should like draw this story or like illustrate this story, like this thing that's been done a million times." And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. But like, thanks for your input.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thankfully, again, I haven't had anything like super inappropriate happen yet, but it's going to happen.
Once your account blows up a bit more, I'm sure all right. If we have you on the show again, we'll be interested in see the advancement from here to there.
Right. The stories that I collect. Yeah.
And, with your, you're saying you just switched to digital media. What was like your preferred way of drawing? Like what, like tools would you use? Like, were you very just pen and ink? Were you into just like brush? What was like your kind of style on paper?
So I've always loved ink and pencil mostly. I'm very like traditionally trained. I've been drawing and painting since I was like a small child. And then I went to college, and all of the foundation courses are like, you're gonna draw traditionally and paint traditionally. And then only the last like 3 years of my courses did I really get into digital. I did dabble in digital in high school, but I didn't really have like a formal understanding of it until college. But yeah, to be honest, I don't think my style's like that different. I think I still keep the same like way of working. It's just that I had to adjust to a tablet and not,
Are you quicker on one than the other, or is it just because you're used to physical media more that you might be faster?
I guess for sketching, I actually do find for sketching sometimes I'm a lot faster on paper because it's just a little more permanent, and I'm like, okay, I just like got to get something down where I can be a little fussier digitally. But inking is just so much easier digitally for me anyway, because it's editable, So
is there anything that like disrupts your flow, like something you just hate drawing, like hands or something? I don't know. Like,
ooh, that's a good question. Actually, yes, there is. For some reason, if it's a living organism, plant, animal, whatever, fine, great, wonderful. I'm having a great time drawing this. If it is like an inanimate, like I noticed vehicles are really hard for me to draw, like planes, bicycles, cars. Like, I don't know if it's because they're kind of geometric, and like if you mess it up, it's very clearly messed up. Like you can kind of fudge organic shapes a little bit, like, oh, like whatever. But yeah, if you mess up the silhouette of like a bicycle or the silhouette of a car, it's going to look like a 5-year-old drew it. And it's just like, I don't know. I just really struggle. I get it done. It's just it doesn't come naturally to me at all.
Well, I guess I never really thought of it that way, but I mean, there's so much like shit on a car when you look at it, or
Yeah,
like a bike.
there
You know, like
is.
there's so many
There's a-
little details, and especially today, the way technology works and the way manufacturing is, everything's so like pristine and perfectly shaped.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know,
It's very
everything's
clean lines.
Yeah.
It's like again, you just have one little crooked line, and everyone's like, "What is that? Oh my god!"
How do you tackle on criticism from and feedback and whatnot for your work?
I actually really like criticism. I think that because again, being a commercial illustrator and like wanting to make stuff for other people,
Mhm.
I'm like, I need to know what other people think of this.
Mhm.
I think some people who only make art for themselves really struggle with criticism. Like, you know, like, oh, like you've just offended their baby. Like, you know, for me, I'm like, no, like this is for you. Like, this is for the audience. Like, I need to know what other people think. And I think that there's also a lot of things that I don't see. I don't see everything. And yeah, having just another like set of eyes, I think that's really helpful. I don't get offended easily by that.
Nice. That's great. Yeah. Honestly, that's like the best thing you can do is that.
Yeah, that's like the best state of mind to have, because if you aren't open to any feedback, you'll never grow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's people. There's a lot of people that are like a surprising amount of people that cannot handle feedback well,
Yeah.
whatever it may be.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And realistically, it all comes from a place of like care and just wanting to help. And
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think they have this fear of like being wrong.
is
Whereas
the end all be all.
Mhm.
yeah, like I'm like, I want to know that I'm wrong so I can fix it. Like I don't take that as a personal attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way you should be taking feedback, essentially. Yeah. When people go the other way, you're just like, I work for a marketing company. Whenever we send out feedback to clients, it's always like, guys, it's just,
Yikes.
yeah, just, it's cool. We're here to help you. Just show us. And you know, you're saying you also write your own work. When did writing come into play, or was it just because you knew you had to kind of do things on your own as an artist?
I've just also always liked writing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I loved like books and writing. I was oh my god. I just had a flashback actually to when I was in 5th grade, and our class had one in-class computer, and I hogged it all the time because I was writing like the longest story in our it's not like different classes. You know, in elementary school, you have like your little different courses. We had creative writing was one of them, and every class period I would hog the computer, and then everyone else. What?
Sorry, I was like, you had that as a class?
Yeah, no, that
That's
like
awesome.
it was it was like a creative writing thing in my elementary school.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, seriously.
I am so
Other people
jealous.
like hated it. I loved it, but yeah, I felt really bad. I think my teacher, like, I was the favorite because she just let me hog the computer, and then other kids would ask to use it, and she'd be like, "Go to the computer."
You gotta walk.
Yeah.
You gotta walk 4 stories down and 8 classrooms down the hallway
Yeah,
before you can
I'm
use
like-
my computer.
Sorry, suckers. Like, this is my computer now. But yeah, I don't know. I just like world building. Like, I think whether it's writing or illustrating doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
Like, I just
Did you
dream.
ever dabble into the world of fan fiction?
Oh yeah. I've never posted it, but like I've
so-
definitely. I'd be lying if I said I never wrote fanfiction. Like,
So there's no hidden profile on fanfiction.com.
no, it's like definitely buried on like an old like computer that like doesn't work anymore. But I've definitely written fanfiction.
That's too cool.
I mean, I feel like
it's a good way.
yeah,
It's writing
Yeah,
practice.
yeah, and I
You
think
know,
like
it's fine.
there doesn't have to be a negative like
Yeah.
stigmatism with it. It's like totally
I mean,
fine. It's
Alan
just,
Moore
I will
made
say
his
I
living
hate-
off of it.
I hate when like people write fan fiction and they're just everything's so out of character.
Mm.
it's
Like, you can have-
hard.
You can have crazy things happen like that. Like, that's fine, right? Whatever plot you want, but like the reactions of the characters have to be in character. Like,
Yeah,
that's
of
probably
course.
my biggest pet peeve. Like,
That's really hard to do in fan fiction if you are not like well versed in writing fan fiction or certain
Mhm.
characters, because I will say a class made me do fan fiction as a final, and that was like, okay, nope, this is not for me. What class is this? It's a really random class I took at SF State, but long story short, first of all, I didn't even like the book. We had to read Ready Player One, which was my second time reading it. I read it the first time and I was like, okay, that was whatever. And the professor was like, all right, we're going to add an epilogue to the book as one of the options for a final. And I was like, Jesus Christ, people like to do this for fun.
Right. Yeah. No.
But if you're into it, that's totally fine. It's just like, it's like I said, from experience, it's not easy to write characters, in their own voice that's been established already.
I guess, but I feel like for me, I just pay attention so much to like the mannerisms of other people. And like, when I watch a show, I'm like good at categorizing like their types.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I don't know. So I just feel like, and I use it in my own writing too. It's like I draw inspiration from other media. So yeah, I don't know. I think that just comes naturally to me because I just pay attention to like that.
Yeah, like I was saying, like if you know you could do it, then hell yeah, go for it. Like, and it's totally fine to just like give feedback, like we were just saying, to other people that are trying to write fan fiction. So
right, I can be like, this is out of character. Rewrite the whole thing. That's my criticism.
Are you always like in analysis mode? I know when I watch TV or read or play video games, whatever, like because I know how to do each medium, I'm always just like, it's hard. My enjoyment time is now just like, oh, I'm analyzing still. I need to like relax.
Yeah, not to be like an astrology person. I'm getting into astrology. I'm a Capricorn moon, and I feel like I'm always analyzing everything, like all the time.
Is that a known thing for Capricorn?
I don't know. Capricorn, I interpret as being like very calculating constantly. So I don't know.
I got no idea. I got no idea about that stuff. I'm so lost.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I kind of relate to that though. Sometimes it's hard to enjoy certain things because you're too busy like reading it and not just like taking it in.
Hey, you're reading the daily horoscope. Capricorn you'll analyze too much. You're like, God damn it, they're right.
No, honestly, some of it's so creepy. Like if you have your whole birth chart calculated, it's very creepy. Like I calculated mine and it was like to a T. Like weird. Oh, wow. It was like, you're probably an artist. And I was like, oh my God, that's so weird.
you're drawing as you're reading it. Oh shit. They found out.
God, they have me figured out. I don't know.
You're like, they're watching me. I know they are.
Yeah.
That's super cool that, I mean, whenever you're trying to just like develop yourself and create a style, it's hard not to just keep on pulling and pulling from everything around you. And even once you do, you're still continuously doing that.
Is there sorry, I was gonna say, is there any other like mediums that have influenced you, like movies, TV shows, music, video games?
Definitely. Yeah. Movies, shows, like anime, animation in general. Like I think just anything with a good story and good like narrative visual elements is really important. Like studying cinematography is so helpful for laying out like compositions in a comic book. Yeah, I think they just go hand in hand. Like it's just very similar. You're just laying out a scene and like where is the camera, quote unquote.
All right.
But yeah.
We're gonna TV show right now. What comes to mind?
TV show? Or don't laugh, but I've been recently rewatching The Vampire Diaries. It's like not even that good. It's just like a guilty pleasure show.
He's just like, all right, what not to do with vampires?
Honestly, yeah. Don't get me wrong, it's very entertaining. Like it's not the worst show ever. It's just like there's definitely some plot things that I'm like, oh, like no one would react like this. Like no one would be okay with like what is happening.
Well,
everyone in the scene is just like, what? Oh, like, yeah, he murdered your brother, but like, it's fine. Like, you'll get over it. Like, and I'm just like, okay, no, that's like not how this works.
I mean, it seems comical, but it does teach you. It shows you how to not do certain things or how to do certain things. With
like how to not be cliche.
Yeah. What about movies? I'm just going to keep asking.
Yeah. So I'm like one of those people that rewatches the same movies like over and over again. And like,
it's like
I
was gonna say it's like I've watched Incredibles like 54 times, guys. I can't get
yeah, no. One of my favorite movies. Sorry, like everything I'm about to list is vampire themed. Like, are you noticing a theme here? One of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I just think the art, the visuals, the soundtrack, like the story, everything is it's called Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. It's
I'm gonna look that up right now.
Yeah, it's an anime film. It's just so like beautifully drawn, beautifully colored, animated. It's like dramatic, like theatrical.
You're the second person that I've talked to on a podcast that has recommended that to me.
It is.
It's on my list. Funny. Yeah.
This looks like a Castlevania kind of thing.
Okay, but see, this came before. This came before, so maybe they were looking at that. But you know what's funny too about this movie is they clearly drew inspiration from the 1990, I think is the year, Bram Stoker's Dracula. There's like a scene in the beginning of Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust that it like mirrors something that happens in that movie. So it's like, it's just funny to see that. And even the soundtrack has a lot of similarities. Like I've played both the soundtracks and been like, these are a lot alike.
It's one of my favorite vampire movies too. That Dracula
it's
one
so
is
good.
So good.
Holy shit! John DiMaggio voices like 4 people in this movie.
Yeah, no, it's so good. Like it really is a very like well executed film. But yeah.
What draws you to vampires and that whole world and realm?
Sorry, what was the beginning?
Oh, what draws you to vampires? Like what has captured you so much?
I think
that's like your thing.
I've just always been a morbid child. I was born on Friday the 13th. Fun fact. That's literally not even a lie. That's like I was just meant to be creepy.
In October?
I don't know. I've just like always been really fascinated by morbid things, like monsters and creepy stuff, Tim Burton movies, you name it. Like that was my childhood. And I don't know, like everyone's gotta have a gimmick, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, it's totally fine. Yeah. I mean,
like I cannot tell you how many times I have had strangers in public stop me, and I have had like again strangers. I get this. I was in a McDonald's one time. This guy, he's like pointing at me. He's like, "You look like a vampire," and I have no makeup on. First of all, no makeup. It's winter.
Oh my God.
I'm wearing like a parka. I'm just here for some McNuggets. And this man is like pointing at me and is like, "You're scary looking. You look like a vampire." And then all his friends were like, "Dude, you can't say that to people. That's so messed up." And I'm like, this is fine. But like that happens to me. That happens to me like in public.
You just look at him and go, "Thank you."
No, literally, I've literally had it happen so many times. And sometimes people say it as a compliment and like other people don't.
Like, I can see that goes 2 ways. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's weird. So I'm like, okay, this is just my life now. Like this is the gimmick. Like this is my brand. It's fine.
So if someone came up to you and said you looked like a vampire, you just like, all right, sure.
I was like, I mean, you're not wrong. Like, okay.
Like, thank you for noticing, sir.
Thank you for noticing. I mean,
stay away, please.
I don't know. It just kind of happened, and I've just been going with it for years now.
Does the theme follow you with music and video games?
Yeah, I'm definitely into like goth music and like gothic style stuff. So, you know, like I like I find this is my thing. I find if something isn't scary or actiony, I'm bored. So that goes with video games and movies. So if there's no horror or action, I just think it's boring. It's just like not exciting for me. I think I go to those like mediums to escape reality. So if it's too much like reality, I'm just like, this is boring.
Yeah. So are you a huge fan of Resident Evil then?
I do like Resident Evil. Yeah. And I do like the big vampire lady. She's a boss ass bitch. Yeah.
I haven't played 8 yet. I'm waiting for it to go on sale so I could see what the big fuss is about.
Yeah, I don't have time to like play it, so I just watched Markiplier play it. Don't judge me. I had to see the big vampire lady for myself.
It became this internet phenomenon. Everybody has to find out what's going on.
It became such a meme. Like, it was just so funny.
What's your Okay, we've talked about the movies, TV shows, games. What's like your go-to albums or playlists when drawing?
Ooh. Recently, actually, I think you guys commented on this. I've been listening to a lot of Coheed and Cambria recently.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all Brandon's shit right there.
Yeah, I love them. They're like one of those bands. It's like AFI. I like listen to them and then I forget about them and then I listen to them again and I'm like, why did I ever leave you?
You know,
Like,
Right? Yeah.
you know what's funny is
Yeah.
people forget AFI's from the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
oh, are they?
Yeah, they were from Berkeley, which is like a 30-minute drive from San
Yeah,
Francisco.
the early
basically.
punk days with that one.
Yeah,
Dude,
they were a
I'm
hardcore band.
hyped for the new album. I already love the song.
They're one of those artists that I feel like is every genre they touch turns to gold. Like they can do everything from like hardcore punk to gothic rock to like you know.
I was supposed to see them live, but they canceled. And then I saw
rest in peace.
I saw Coheed and Cambria open for Iron Maiden, and I was thoroughly
that's
shocked
so cool.
with how good they were.
They're so good.
So
I
great.
love them.
Claudio, actually, their comics super great, and I love how they intertwine the story from the comics into the music. Like, I've been a huge fan. I've traveled just to go see Coheed. I am obsessed with them.
Have you ever? Oh no, I was just curious now. Have we ever into bands like horror pops or like necromantics or anything like that?
I don't think I've given
that
them a listen.
That rockabilly punk genre.
It's the
But yeah.
psychobilly genre. So and like all their like songs are themed like horror movies, and you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, see, I don't know if they fit in with like rockabilly, but there's definitely quite a few bands that have that kind of like, you know, macabre themes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I listen to a little bit of everything. Like there's like Ice Nine Kills did that. They did like a bunch of.
Oh, I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, right,
Wow.
Like, I like them. I like
Brings me back to high school.
I like Calabrese. They have some stuff like that. I guess they're a horror punk band. Is Calabrese a horror punk band?
I don't know.
I don't know what
I
they're
don't know.
considered.
Never heard of
But
that one.
They're good. I love their song. I think it's called Voices of the Dead. That's a good song.
Ooh,
Let's see.
it's going on the list, definitely.
Yeah. We should start doing we should just like get a culmination of playlists from people we interview.
Yeah,
that
no,
would be
it's
super
funny.
cool.
Mark is like, I love all your playlists. And I'm like, thank you so much. I work so hard on that.
Yeah. It's also, I also like to ask what people like to listen to, because, you know, in the creative process, people's playlists are so different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and I love finding out about that stuff. One of my favorite writers and artists, he puts like his playlist like at the back of the comic sometimes, like what he listened to while creating the book.
Yeah,
And
a lot of artists do that. I've noticed like there's one artist I follow, and they always post the song that they were working to. I think it helps with writing too. Like again,
definitely.
going back to that cinematography thing, I'm like, okay, you know, what kind of scene is this? Like, what's the mood? And yeah, definitely having music helps set the mood and like get you like thinking about those things. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in the sense of world building too. I mean, it sets you up for.
Yeah.
I mean, Coheed's also actually awesome at that world building aspect with their music. So
100%.
just mixing all that together it's phenomenal. And do you listen to? I mean, I guess it's different from a writing standpoint to when you're drawing, but like music with words whenever you're writing, does that distract you? Does that influence you too much? Do you stray from anything?
If it's something that I've heard a lot, well, it's weird. If you want to know what it is, as long as it's not a song that I need to like sing along and like bump to, it's fine. So if the words are kind of like artsy or like screamo or something, like I'm not gonna like sing along to that, like fine. But if it's too much of a bop, like if it's something I'm like singing in the car, like I can't listen to that while I'm working. Like it's just distracting. But everything else is fine. Like
you don't find yourself fist bumping as you're drawing, you know, getting in the zone?
No, see that might throw off like the line work a little bit there. You know, so
You turn it into the editor. Sorry, I just, you know.
sorry, I was just really vibing to the song.
You're like, turn it into the editor. Like the Wiggles came on, I lost control.
The Wiggles made me wiggle these lines, and that's just how it's going to be.
You just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
Well,
It's part of the creative process.
yeah.
Oh, that was one of the last things I was going to ask. Sorry.
Do it.
Now, I love asking all writers and artists their optimal setup. So, like for example,
Yes.
example, I like to get my chores done. I like to not be working. I want to make sure the house is like cleaned up. I did my grocery shopping, whatever. Then I could finally sit at the computer and work on whatever it is I want to do.
Yeah. What's your ritual?
You know?
What do you?
Well, yeah. What's the process to get to that?
Okay, so I'm not that. I am an agent of chaos, and I it doesn't really matter what my surroundings are that much. I do like to have enough like desk space to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think I just kind of tune everything out. Like when I'm drawing, I'm just like, and then when I'm done drawing, I turn around and I'm like, oh my God, there's a mountain of laundry. Oh my God, I have no food in my fridge.
I work today.
It's like nothing exists when I'm working, I guess. I definitely do find it distracting if like other people are talking. So I try to be the only one in the room.
Okay.
If that's possible. But my work setup is like in the living room. So it kind of just depends. But usually, again, I work on my comic stuff in the morning. So usually there's nobody here to distract me. But yeah, I don't know. As long as like I'm in the zone at my desk and I've like already eaten, we're good. That's pretty much all I need.
Nice. Dude, awesome. This has been before we actually start to wind this down a little bit, we need to get more manga and anime references and influences and recommendations from you. This is like my year that I'm diving into that. That's why I've never been one to explore into that.
I don't have much knowledge on that either. So.
I have Akira, Nausicaa, in the Valley of the Wind, and that's like where I'm at right now. Like,
okay, here we go. So, like I said, I like things that are actiony and scary. So, I'm not into like slice of life animes or whatever. I like I like scary or like psychological, like just weird shit. So, if you want to watch something that is like gonna make you have an existential crisis, also it's a classic. I just watched Evangelion for the first time last year. So that's a really good one. That's a classic anime. Like I think everyone has to watch that, even if you're not into that. Like
a lot of people regard that one as one of the best.
Yeah.
I'm glad I watched it. I don't know why it took me so long. I've been meaning to watch that since I was like a teenager, but yeah, that one's really good. Would really recommend that. I like a lot of oldies. I was catching up on oldies like during the pandemic when I was just like depresso espresso. I was like, I gotta catch up on all these old anime. So I also watched Trigun. Oh, that one is so good.
I never finished that.
Trigun is so good. And it's funny on the surface. It looks kind of like this funny, like goofy space western, like kind of slice of life thing. No. It's definitely a deep meditation on altruism that might make you cry. It's really good though. The art and animation is so cool. Like I love it. Visually, I thought it was stunning. And yeah, it's actually just like really deep. I will say the beginning half of Trigun is like one way and you're kind of like, oh, like does this get serious? Like does this get deep? And then you just fall off a cliff and you're in the ravine and it's very deep after that. So yeah, it's not even that long, honestly. I really enjoyed Trigun. If you're trying to watch something like current coming out now, Demon Slayer is so good. Another one that's like it's scary, actiony, and like tragic, beautifully animated. I just watched the movie. I was about to ask about that. Yeah. How was that? Yeah, the movie was really good. I went with my friends and they were crying. Like, yeah. I was keeping it together, but like a lot of people in the theater were ugly crying. Like, but yeah, it's good. It's very poignant. But yeah. So Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia is just like the shonen that like we all need in our lives. My friend described that as like this generation's Naruto. Yeah, that's what but better and with like not 100,000 episodes of filler. What was with early 2000s anime and 100 episodes of filler? Like I don't understand. I think the demand went up because internet got
better speed, so everyone around the world is watching more. I don't know.
Yeah, or like maybe because they were like, okay, like this is on once a week. We need to have a 10-minute recap for last week, 10 minutes of actual airtime, and then like 10 minutes of filler.
Don't forget your 20 minutes of intro and outro. And then,
right? Yeah, you have to have a full song. You can't have a 20-second song. No, honey, you gotta have a full song.
Gotta make sure you nail all the beats. You know, you gotta.
Yes. Yeah, like with Gundam and like Bleach and all that. When I was getting into it in high school, I was like, "This is a music."
They're just dragged out. Like you just have to read them at that point. Everyone told me to read One Piece, read Bleach. Like, don't even watch the anime. Like.
Well, if you watch One Piece, you'll still be catching up to this day. So, you know.
Yeah. It's too much. Isn't it like 1,000? It's over 1,000 episodes now, right?
Like and apparently it's only 3/4 done. That's from what I hear. But remember, the treasure in One Piece is not the treasure they're looking for. Not the One Piece treasure. It's the treasure of the friendship they made along the way. Right.
That's probably what we're going to find out. That's what it's all about. It's about the journey, not not the destination.
Do you collect a lot of this like physically, or are you just kind of like a digital reader and consumer?
I don't collect like that much. I don't have like a house. I have an apartment. So when I get a house, I will probably fill it with.
You'll have that room.
Yeah, I'll have that room, the collection room. Yeah.
Or rooms.
Yeah. The only manga I have like a lot of is it's actually this kind of it's not that popular. It's kind of this like obscure manga / anime series. It's called Holic. It's like 3 X's and then Holic. And it's about it's like this creepy witchy story about a psychic kid that meets a witch who can help him control his ability to see spirits. And it's about like human nature and like wishes and stuff. It's really good. That one I have like almost the complete series, but
I'll definitely look into that. It's I think
there is an anime. Oh, it's not long. Manga goes way longer, but
see stuff like that I could do, because once I start seeing the 1,300 episodes, like that's where I'm like, oh, dude, I'm never gonna.
Yeah, it's like I don't think I'm ever gonna finish a quarter of this.
Y'all, I tried watching Naruto Shippuden when it only had like 50 episodes, and I was like, I can watch 50 episodes. I can catch up. And then like
psych.
Listen, I had to put it down at the scene where you haven't even met all of like the Akatsuki, which is like the guys in the black and red like edgy cloaks. So you're meeting like another member of this weird like sect, whatever. And the fight scene with him took, I'm not even kidding, like 4 or 5 whole episodes. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I just had to put it down. I have never watched Naruto since.
Yeah, I didn't look back since.
I never looked back. I was like, I've seen enough Naruto. It's fine.
Yeah, no, there's no way, because it drags at that point. It's like
it does. It was impossible.
It's like, and it's like if kind of like The Walking Dead at certain points where you're just like, all right, guys, like do
I
something.
Watched one season of The Walking Dead and I was like, oh, this isn't about zombies. This is about drama. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I literally did not get the hype at all. I was like, this is just a soap opera that has some zombies just a little sprinkled in there. And that's it. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted like a scary zombie show.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. I was never a fan of the show. I never got how it's been on for 11 seasons or whatever. It's one of
the games were cool, but
oh yeah, that's true too.
But the show, sorry, I did not like it.
But dude, oh my gosh, you've given us so much stuff to research, read, consider. And I mean, as creators ourselves, we understand the struggle and we love that you're actually getting your stuff out there.
Yeah.
And you're working with lesser known. I think that's the coolest opportunity that could have come your way. And
I feel very blessed. I was like,
well,
I really lucked out on that one.
I applaud the good work and I applaud the commitment and the continuation through the struggle. And I think, it's not easy, and I imagine how stressful it could be at times. But trust me, as someone who's trying to do it as well, I think it's awesome. And I think like you're gonna be destined to do even more stuff.
Mhm.
So
Let's hope.
Yeah, there's that too. It's the life of an artist and a creator where you're just like, damn, this is going good. I hope it keeps on going good.
I'm just gonna keep up the grind, and I hope it works out for me.
It should.
But where can people find you online? Where can they find your work? Throw us your plugs.
Okay, so yeah, I primarily post on Instagram. I post a lot of stories. If you would like some great, goth memes, that they'll be on my story.
You do have great memes on your post.
Thank you. They're handpicked just for you guys.
Curated.
Curated memes. And that is Charlie Ragnarok on Instagram, and it should be the same for Twitter. Charlie Ragnarok on Twitter. I'm trying to get better at managing more than one platform. Sometimes, in all honesty, lately I have forgotten to post on Twitter, and I feel so guilty about it. But I'm trying to get better at that. So
cool.
So that's pretty much all I got for plugs right now.
And then your comics on lesserknowncomics.com right now.
Oh, yeah. Yes, of course.
And the Kickstarter just wrapped for that. By the time this episode comes out, it'll be wrapped. It wraps in like 2 days. But I'm sure there's going to be another one. And from the way this Kickstarter looked, you get physical copies for batch 1 and batch 2. I'm excited for those to come into the mail. I'm super hyped to check out your work in person and not my phone or computer.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of people are like, oh, like I really want the physical copy. And like, it is a different experience. And you'll see the back cover too, which is, nothing crazy. But
is your illustration the cover to batch number 2? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I did all the cover, inner cover, outer, back, all that.
Oh, sweet. See, it's gonna be really rewarding. So when their next Kickstarter goes up, we'll bug you to see if you're doing anything to talk about it, and hopefully we get you back on the show. This has been a very enlightening and inspirational talk for sure. But Charlie, thank you so much for being here. And I don't know, are we gonna do any plugs now? We're good on plugs. I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we repeat ourselves so many times. Well,
yeah, you know where to find us. You're listening to the show right now.
You know what's going on. That's fine.
Yeah,
you'll find
our names.
Oh, what?
I was gonna say our names haven't changed since.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Years. You guys can find Charlie's work at the links below. And if you're watching this on YouTube, the links are here. Whatever podcast platform you're on right now, it should show as well. So check her out, check out her work, and her comic's free online. So there's no excuse not to check it out. Like it's literally, you just sign in, you just add to cart, and it's in your email 5 seconds later. So please download that. Please support them. Lesser Known Comics seems to be doing some great stuff and some great anthology work. So with that, we'll say goodnight. And Charlie, thanks for hanging. And Brandon, thanks for hanging, man.
Thanks, Brandon. And thank you, Charlie, for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. This was fun. And yeah, I'll probably be back on sometime. And yeah, definitely let me know if you guys like my anime recommendations.
Yeah, that'll be the highlight of next time. I'll actually do some research, and
that would be really fun.
And maybe we get you on a commentary. We could talk about.
Yeah, actually, we could probably get that going. Get a movie commentary.
Oh, yeah. I can ramble about anime all day.
Yeah, we need that educational new experience.
Yes, very informative.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.